Hello everyone, welcome to the February 26th League of Legends Esports DFS breakdown. Quickly before we get started, I want to say, we had a 0-3 day yesterday, at least in the LPL. I believe we were on Gen G, and I'm not sure how the Dom 1 series went actually. They got the 2-0, so no surprises there in the LCK. Over in the LPL, of course, was not a good day. I guess from the jump, I know I'm kind of hopping around a little bit already, but slate is not looking that great, honestly. We're gonna look at odds and stuff. I haven't personally seen much for these games, but just looking at like names here, I'm not seeing much for underdogs or upset potential. Maybe there's like one spot that I like, and it's probably going to be maybe a little crazy, but we'll look at it and see. But just looking at the slate as a whole, before we get into anything, I feel like the two of the three LPL slates or LPL games, we have Top Esports EDG. I feel like that should be pretty heavily favored towards the EDG side. We'll look at odds and see. And then for Weibo OMG, again, I feel like that's pretty heavily favored in the Weibo side. I feel like OMG have not been looking that great as of recently, so that's pretty disappointing already. We have had like a lot of close games and a lot of close series, and a lot of interesting stuff to look at and break down over the past couple days. And I don't know how much that there will be of that tomorrow, at least on the 26th. The 25th slate is still just wrapping up again. Kind of got swept across the board. TT didn't get the job done. I guess we could kind of transition that into looking at yesterday. So I was on Thunder Talk, AL, and FPX. Again, it's clean swept, I should say. We got none of the games right. We did fine in the LCK again, but I mean, I'm never heavily invested in that league, so it's kind of a whatever. Like recapping the games, I did think the LGDTT was going to be close, and I did think the odds were kind of weird. That's something I do kind of like want to do a mini rant about, is my poor performance as of late. Like I don't know. It's this tough conversation just because like I'm just kind of a guy that loves doing this and loves playing like League of Legends DFS. I watch most of these games regardless anyway. At least in the like Eastern leagues, I don't really watch LCK or sorry, I don't watch LCS or LEC. Those leagues just don't seem that interesting. Maybe LEC does a little bit, but it seems like a really bad time slot for me. I'm very rarely up at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday and Sunday, that kind of stuff. So, just with how my life works at the moment, I'm mostly up for during the LPL, LCK. And the leagues are just a lot more fun. The quality's there, so it's a little less random, although that feels like it's not the case lately. And I just feel like maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys don't care. You guys feel free to skip ahead a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit just about kind of how I'm feeling with these games and how I'm feeling at the moment. I feel like I was doing a better earlier. I'm not sure what changed or why I'm failing to kind of pick up on what's going on at the moment. I don't know. With that said, I feel like I kind of wasn't that far off with my analysis. Maybe I'm just getting a little too hyper-focused on the results. When we talked about Thunder Talk LGD, I did say it was probably going to be close, probably going to go 3, or at least that's what I felt like. It was just going to go 3, and it was a coin flip down to which side you were on, and it didn't go our way. I mean, I kind of felt that, like with LGD, that they were probably just a little bit better. Like we just have a little bit more known with LGD, and we know where they are, and there's still just a lot of like I'm a victim of this. I'm included when I say this, but I think there's still just a little bit too much name hype on the Thunder Talk players, with like UCal coming in, who is a like notable LCK mid laner for a while. So we just, for me at least, I thought Thunder Talk would be able to, I don't know, do something. Like, I don't know, they just look so lifeless, and I'm not sure like what it is or why really. They just seem really bad. They just bleed gold everywhere on the map. They're just like a worse anyone's legend. Um, but it feels like AL at least have life, and they have at least like they try to do stuff. I don't know. It seems like Thunder Talk are just so out of place out of this league. I'm not sure. I continue to give them like a pass and like, hope that they stepped it up, and they just haven't. Um, I did hear Hysterics, one of the LPL casters, mention that's a he's like a dark horse team to actually like go to Worlds from the LPL. He thinks maybe they'll come back and have like a really strong summer, or maybe I honestly can't remember if he was joking or not. It sounded like he was a little serious. I'm not sure. I do kind of see it. I do see the upside in this team and these players a lot. Again, that's kind of like why I've continued to pick Thunder Talk to win these games. I've had them in all three of their last series, and they obviously have not won a single one of them. So it's pretty disappointing. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is I'm having at least a bad stretch here. I'm not sure what it is or how I can get to it. It's just kind of like the everlasting, ever flowing, ever changing DFS, like circle of life almost, where it's like you have these like crazy calls and opinions, and when they're working right, you kind of get like this sense of confidence, and then it like flips its head on you, and then like you try to maintain your opinions, and then it just keeps getting worse. I don't know, maybe that's just kind of like my style and how I like to view things, where I like to go by these sample sizes and like a couple series of sample size. I'm not that's why I don't look at what happened in early January. I feel like that was such a long time ago, but I also don't want to just look at their last game, just because we know kind of like how fluky like these things can be, and then we know like if teams give up a really big lead in the first game, then maybe the second game they're just a bit tilted and they play poorly. So we know how much variance there can be in like a single series. Sometimes it works in our advantage, sometimes it doesn't. Like how I rode the FPX train early on, and when they were looking good. They got a few of these wins. We were on them, and I liked them a bit early on. Then they fell down, and they're continuing to fall. So it's hard for me to kind of like gauge where they are. Like same could be said for like early on with Top Esports when I was picking heavily against them. Like there was like the RA series. V5 was the underdog against Top Esports, as crazy as that sounded. OMG was the same way. RNG was pretty close. So like it kind of works both ways, where I'm super heavy against Top Esports, and then Top Esports continue to lose, so it works out in our favor. I buy into the hype and the upside of Thunder Talk, and they continue to lose, so it works against us. I don't know. It's just like it's just what makes this kind of stuff so difficult. Like sometimes things are going against you, sometimes things are in your favor, and when you're losing, it's hard to kind of tell. It's like sometimes you take your shots, and if they go your way, it's hard to tell if it was like a good thing. That's something I kind of talk about and preach a lot when people do reach out for advice and stuff like that. You need to look at kind of like how you're performing regardless of the results. So if we were to like quickly kind of like take that and look at what happened yesterday. So obviously I had a 0-3 picks day. I was on 200 dogs in a favorite, so fairly balanced. Again 0-3, but we look at Thunder Talk LGD. We kind of knew that one would be close, and two really bad teams. We were just kind of hoping for some variance and hoping for it to go our side. It didn't. LGD got the job done. I think the main point that I'm trying to make, I guess, is I think it's just tough battling between your like heart and your head, and trying to look at things objectively and subjectively, trying to combine them into making like a better formed opinion. Like, for example, yesterday when I was making the odds for the FPX RA series, I was very surprised how disrespected RA were, and I thought that series was actually going to be a lot closer than the odds were indicating. And I feel like I just kind of didn't listen to myself even, and I probably should have been on the RA side. Except I just bought into kind of hoping Beishuan was back and FPX would be back. So it's just like it's just always hard to battle the like narrative stuff and stats and looking at like how things are going up and down. I don't know. It's just always extremely difficult, and I don't know. I just wanted to kind of like rant about that, and I don't know, kind of get like some of that stuff out of the way. I don't know. It's pretty disappointing, all things considered. Especially, I don't know how long it's been since we've had like a pretty good day. Um, I don't necessarily think like all the things we said yesterday were wrong. Like again, it's hard to say that when you have a 0-3 day, but again, I think the Thunder Talk LGD series was going to be close. It just didn't go our way. That's kind of what happens. It's a pretty like coin flippy, very low level game. It happens. AL JDG, I actually think this was like a super fine pick. Again, it didn't go our way necessarily, but JDG was like or AL was a pretty sizable underdog. I don't remember the price. I think they were like plus 300 something, like plus 325 or something. And it was like pretty competitive. They obviously did take the second game, and it was a really close third game as well. Like they were definitely in it. I typically don't think like this, but I feel like it really did come down to one play that kind of decided the whole series. I guess it decided the third game, which obviously decides the series, and it was by Zhao Hao. It was during the fifth dragon fight, I believe. JDG needed to get the dragon for soul, um, and then they kind of coin flipped it, which I didn't like in the first place. And then, so what happened was Zhao Hao, or who's the Kanavi on Rek'Sai, he was like tumbling into the dragon pit. Zhao Hao flash ease on Lee Sin against Rek'Sai, who had Edge of Night, which is like a ability that, or an item that blocks the first spell that you get hit with. And then Zhao Hao just like didn't press kick for some reason, so I just don't know what happened there. Like it would have been the freest dragon ever if Zhao Hao just like flash E kicks Kanavi away from the dragon, then he just hits the dragon and takes the dragon. Then it's denies JDG the Hextech Soul, which I think would have won them the game. It looked like all the momentum was going in the AL side, and the fights were still really close even after JDG had Hextech Soul, which is like one of the most powerful souls and like one of the most game defining things. I think the Hextech Soul currently has like a 79 or 80% win rate or something. So the fact that the game was close even after having such a large lead for the JDG side, you just have to feel that AL would have had the advantage winning the game, the late game team fights in game 3. I still think AL are actually looking pretty good. I'm not sure when they play next. They've had a lot of games, so they don't play until the March 5th. So that's a little disappointing, because it's a large gap between those two games that they play. So who knows where they'll be then. But again, it was a super large underdog with AL. They're plus 325. I think it legitimately came down to like one team fight. If you don't want to think that way, then they at least won the second game, and I think our thought process was definitely fine in this series. The idea was that AL they excel when it's a brawly back and forth fighting style game, and JDG are definitely known to get involved in those as well. So things didn't go our way there. I think the AL definitely could have won the third game. I would say mostly it came down to just like a top lane gap for sure. I didn't think ZDZ had like a chance at all against 369. 369 definitely demolished ZDZ in just about every aspect. I was super impressed with Anyone's Legend bottom lane, especially Chocho, Betty, like Chocho was getting really good engages, especially on the Leona. But that AL drafted pretty well in game 3, so I think there's a lot of things looking up for AL. It's just disappointing. They like it feels like things got out of hand on them so quickly. I don't remember when it happened, but they actually had like they had an early game lead in the like third series or in the third game in the series. And then it just like collapsed so quickly. They kind of like conga lined in to die one at a time. Like Betty got caught once. ZDZ got dove top, died. Forge got caught out mid lane and then he died. And then like Xiao Hao tried to like avenge him and then he died. So it was like within the span of like a minute or two, they just had like 4 deaths in a row, and they went from leading to losing pretty heavily so quickly. I was surprised that they even managed to recover from that, honestly, and make the game close. But I still feel fine with that pick. Like, obviously, it was a plus 325 anyone's legend, and I feel like it was super close overall. They obviously won a game. The third game was close. And then obviously the thought process was there. Like what we anticipated was it'll be a brawl. It'll be a close game. It'll be a brawl, and we just hope AL come out on the better end of these fights and stuff. And I think for the most part they did. They just didn't when it mattered, and they lost the series. So although the pick and everything was losing, I still feel like the call was fine, and separating the anticipation of what you think is going to happen versus the result is super important, and I think we did fine there. I think one of the biggest failures here was the FPX RA series. So when I did do the odds for this series, I want to say I had FPX like minus 220, and then the actual odds was like FPX minus 320 or something. It was super, super confusing to me at the time, and I feel like that's something where I should have picked up on it and realized it instantly, that I just view these teams as a lot closer. That's all. I think in a realistic world, I probably should have realized that RA and FPX were a lot closer. I just kind of let my heart get in the way of my head in this one, where I just felt like I wanted to see Beishuan come back in and just pick up right where he left off. I don't know. They play again only in a couple of days. It against Thunder Talk. That'll be an interesting one to see. That one might be one where I don't know. That's tough because I've been on Thunder Talk for obviously 3 games now. They've let me down every time. And it's not like it's only a 2-day span in between those games, so it's not like a lot of time for TT to get any better. But I feel like FPX are like dwindling down pretty quickly. They're looking pretty lost. They have like really good like first 15 minutes, but then post 15 minutes, it feels like they have like no leadership at all. It feels like FPX has kind of taken the mantle of where Top Esports was earlier in the year. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself there, but that's one where I just should have realized it. Maybe you guys could have like read between the lines there. I didn't. I just didn't pick up on it, and I thought this game was going to be a lot closer. Realistically, I probably should have realized that that the odds were wrong. I should have been on the RA side, but I wasn't. I'll own up to that one. I just made a mistake in this series. I feel like the other 2 calls, again, are still fine. Just didn't go our way. But with the FPX RA series, I feel like I had bad reads. And that's just not what I like to do. And I mean, for the most part, I just like to make these videos just because they're fun. And I like talking through these things. And this is just kind of like what I'd be doing anyway. I'm just kind of verbalizing it. And hopefully helping more people have fun and get into the esports DFS scene. I enjoyed. I've been grinding this for years. I've been profitable. I'm just kind of a guy. I do things pretty unconventionally. I've talked about this a lot before, but I don't use like too many like in-depth stats. I kind of just go off the eye test and go from my experience of watching these games from a long time, trying to understand the game at a high level. Like that kind of thing, going with the more feel-based aspect, not with the raw stats thing. So it's tough, especially when you have like when you're for me at least, like if my word is only as good as my results. Um, we're still doing good on the year. Year to date predictions are fine still. I still think we're doing good. I don't know what they're at like, right now. Um, but for me at least, like it's not like I'm telling you guys, oh, in the first 15 minutes, WE are actually having gold advantages. Look at this graph or stats. Like I wish I had that kind of stuff. But if you guys are here, then you're probably like trusting my word anyway, which is, very awesome. But when we're losing, it flips it kind of just flips it around. So we'll try to just be smart about these things and try to learn and grow and make better decisions here going forward. Again, sorry for the rant, but I don't know. That was just like some stuff on my mind where these games just weren't going our way, and it's kind of hard to decipher bad picks versus bad beats. So it is what it is, but we can continue. Great thing about DFS is there's always tomorrow, another way to lose money. So um, we're just gonna go straight in the odds. I'm not going to make my odds for these just because I did spend so much time ranting already. I didn't want to make this video like an hour long. The first we do not have LCK odds for Hanwha Life T1. I assume that's just because Hanwha are still having COVID issues. Their coach, I believe it's like 3 of their coaches, and then Sam D, their ADC, was ruled out with COVID. They're going to be out for the week. I wonder. I'll check another book real quickly while I talk and see if there's any odds out for this. But I don't know. I still feel like this is definitely a really bad spot overall. Probably one you just want to avoid altogether. I know this is another LCK slate where you guys are just going to hear me say I don't like any of the LCK at all. But I mean, we have a Fredit Brion series. We have, T1 Hanwha actually like low key could be decent. T1 has actually been in like a lot of like Fiesta-y games lately. I believe that's something that one of the casters mentioned as well that I noticed was T1 have actually been in like some pretty proactive games. I'm not sure if the ownership will be there with T1 at the moment. I feel like maybe they should be maybe a little bit more owned. I still think that's a good spot for them overall. All right, I managed to pull up this odds page. Let's see if they have anything. Nope, they don't have LCK odds either. So I don't know what the odds would be. I'd have to imagine that T1 would be a sizable favorite. I think they're 11-0 in the league now. Going against a team that's missing their AD and some coaches. They just lost to Sandbox in a pretty disturbing fashion. So I'd have to imagine T1 are going to annihilate Hanwha. Although I am somebody who was kind of in the spot waiting to catch a good T1, like a good team against T1. This is just not the spot for it. I think Hanwha had too many problems, too many question marks, and I was super disappointed. They looked really, really bad against Liv Sandbox, who's like arguably another really, really bad team. So have to imagine T1 is like a minus 1,000 favorite or something like, and then they're actually like relatively cheap on DK. So I like T1 a good bit. They've been in some like Fiesta games. They've had a lot of action. So I think T1 is a pretty good spot here. They're pretty cheap, except for Keria, who has it's like insane stats. Keria, Gumayushi, obviously really, really great players. I'm not sure where anyone else would be. I mean, yeah, they're priced like super high up there. I'd assume that's just because in like DK's algorithm, they're going to have T1 as a very, very large favorite. I don't know how many people are going to get there because of that price, and there's not a lot of appealing underdog options, so who knows? I'm not sure. We'll talk about that when we get to the whole slate. KT Fredit Brion, I feel like this is a little one-sided. I don't know, but Fred and Brianna have been looking really bad, so I don't know. I just you guys just kind of know I don't like the LCK at the moment at all as a whole. I'm excited to see if T1 play anyone good. Yeah, T1 Genji 3-3. This is going to be a super amazing matchup. I'm looking to get on Genji pretty heavily there. I think that's going to be, assuming T1 continue to, up the tempo and play aggressively as they have been. Like, since coming back from the break, I think T1's averaged like 20 kills a game or something. Like, they're really high tempo at the moment. They're looking really good. But I think Genji will definitely be a team to answer them. So I'm hoping to get any Genji plus money here. That would be ideal. I'd love to get that, and that'll be a super great spot as well. But talking about just today, KT, like, all they've done is lose. They did lose to like Dom1 and T1, which isn't that bad, but they got swept by KDF. Fred and Brion, they've lost to Sandbox, KDF, and DRX. So just like every other really bad team, pretty much. It's hard to buy into them at all. There is something to be said with Fred and Brion that they always, seems like once a split, they pull out a random like win. I'm not going to be there when it happens. They're just looking way too bad, and this overall matchup you just kind of want no part of anyway. So from the LCK, T1 is like the only option I like even a little bit. But they're super pricey to get to, so that's going to be the problem. Heading over to the LPL, the first matchup is Team WE Ultra Prime. We don't have lineups out yet. I'm making this video probably like a little bit too early. We don't have confirmed starters. That's the only problem here. But I don't expect any changes unless there's like a surprise that we wouldn't see. But it's kind of hard to, I don't know. When I first looked at this series, I would have assumed that Team WE actually like maybe would have been the favorite. But I guess obviously looking like at record and everything, I get it. So their past three, Ultra Prime got the upset over OMG. They lost to Weibo, which is fine. They lost to FPX, which is a little bad, just considering how bad FPX are looking, but that's fine as well. On the Team WE side, they got swept by OMG, so a common opponent there that's in the favor of Ultra Prime. They got the win over LGD in a close one. They took a game off of BLG. This is one where it's a little tough because if you're looking at like any sample size beyond their last game, you would definitely be leaning the Ultra Prime side. But I was actually like fairly impressed with WE in their series against BLG. I know BLG aren't looking that great. They're not looking fantastic. But still, like, BLG is a significantly better team than WE and Ultra Prime. So it's a pretty decent result for WE. If you look at just last three, you would probably have to lean on the Ultra Prime side. I don't know. This one, again, is like, it's just super close, like coin flippy. You just have to feel like all these really low-end games are relatively coin flippy. I don't know. Maybe you could argue that like Team WE and Thunder Talk are like on a tier of their own of being super, super bad. I mean, that is why you are getting a like minus 185 Ultra Prime here. I don't know. I'm not buying into that much. Maybe this is just because I don't really like anywhere else on the slate, so I'm just going to take the underdog shot. Like, I'm just kind of looking for an underdog, and Team WE kind of like fit the mold there. I don't know. I'm pretty torn on this one because I feel like Team WE have been looking better with like Biu, Beishong, Shanks has been looking good. I'm not liking their bottom lane still of Xing and Kadaya, and I think that's probably going to be like the problem here. Is I just feel like the Ultra Prime bottom lane is just a lot better. I just feel like Elk and Xiaoxi are both significantly better than Xing and Kadaya. So that's like the thing. It's like I kind of favor Team WE's top jungle and mid, but I feel like Ultra Prime's bottom lane is a lot better. So it just kind of comes down to what do you value more and where are you leaning in that? Like which side is better? I don't know. It's tough. I feel like either side is like fine. Um, I mean, Ultra Prime is like the second most expensive, you know, like players on the slate. It makes sense. Low end LPL games can get pretty crazy. I don't know. This one's tough. Like maybe this is one where I should have maybe like priced it myself. I definitely would. It's hard to make any argument for WE other than they look good in their last series against the BLG, and that is kind of it. I mean, they got swept by JDG, EDG. That's fine. They got the win over LGD. Got swept by OMG. Like that's kind of like that's another thing that's kind of holding me up is they got swept by OMG. That was kind of expected. And then Ultra Prime OMG. Like Ultra Prime got the upset there. I don't know. That's like the main thing there for me. I don't know. That one's just really really tough for me, honestly. Um, Again, I have been like a little impressed with Team WE top mid jungle. They've been looking good, but Elk and Shousey are gonna probably decimate Shing and Kadaya. Um, I don't know. I just feel like Ultra Prime have just been playing probably better overall. They're probably the deserved uh like favorite here. It's hard to argue with that. I'm probably just gonna have to lean on the Ultra Prime side. Again, low level LPL. I just think like when you look at like the like game score, like Ultra Prime have won 10 out of 24 maps for 42% map count. Team WE down to 23%. I don't know. Let's just look at all and see like where WE's games have been coming from. So they lost to BLG, lost to OMG. They got their win over LGD, and then they've played a lot of killer teams. Let's So yeah, WE's map count is looking good, but they've also played the cream of the crop: Weibo, V5, LNG, JDG, EDG. So it's a lot of 2-0s in there. All right, I'll just go with my underdog. I'll just go with what I was feeling earlier. Um, I'll just go with Team WE. I feel like they'll be able to probably get the job done through this top side through Bew, Beishong, Shanks. Maybe they can bleed into the bottom lane and help out Shing and Gadaya. I do feel like Elk and Shousey are the better duo there. But when you look at things as a whole, I'm not too worried that much. I don't know. I just feel like team-wise, it's kind of a wash, maybe slightly into Ultra Prime. But WE have players, and I feel like they've been looking good. And you know, when you do the like map count check and you see five wins in 22 attempts, it's not looking good. They have one series win, and it's a close one over LGD. Wonder have LGD and Ultra Prime played? Yeah, they played earlier, January 21st, so a little over a month ago. Ultra Prime got that win. I don't know. I just feel like, again, this is super close, and I like a lot of the other favorites. Maybe this is one where if you guys are thinking I'm crazy and want to go on the Thunder Talk side or on the Ultra Prime side, obviously, I think there's a lot of merit to it. I think this is just a super close, coin flippy, low level game, and I'm in need of an underdog. So I'm not really liking any other underdogs, so I'll be super heavy on Team WE here. I like them a good bit. I think they could maybe pay off even in like a 1-2 defeat, where maybe they get enough kills and pay off like a really really underdog price. I believe I want to say, aren't they like I guess they're not that cheap, but I mean they're still pretty cheap. So I'll take my shots there. Again, I just feel like the main reasons are like they looked pretty good against BLG. Like actually, they looked pretty decent. They looked like they were in sync. So maybe they're finding some form from that, converting some level of play that they can like convert and learn from this and try to replicate from this BLG series. And again, I feel like their like map count and overall record seems pretty tough on them. I believe I made this case last time Team WE played, and I don't think it ended up being in our favor. Yeah, that was the I think it might have been like WE. I don't remember. But I still think the point stands. Like they lost to Weibo, number 1 team, V5, number 2 team. TES were bad at the time, so it's kind of tough. But LNG, another killer team, GDG, EDG, like 5 of their first 6 games are against really, really good teams. They win their first like winnable matchup here, I think, against LGD. This OMG one's looking a little concerning, but if you have like one problem with their whole schedule so far, then I think that's fine and that's fair. So I'll lean with this WE side. Again, specifically, I like their top side to win out. Top jungle mid, I like their combination there. Ultra Prime's bottom lane does concern me. I think they have the edge over Team WE, but they're the underdog I need. There's a lot of things that make sense here. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like their stats are a little inflated, but in the negative direction, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like although they're like the second worst map count overall in the league, it's a little tough because they've played like all of the elite teams. Like you look at their schedule going forward, they play Ultra Prime, IG, FPX, RA, Thunder Talk, Anyone's Legend. So they have a lot of the like more winnable matchups coming up for Team WE. So that might be a team where you want to like kind of buy into early before people maybe catch on. I think overall they should be looking a little bit better. I feel like since Beishong's been coming back, they're scaling in the right direction. They're looking more towards being a little better. And they have a lot of winnable matchups coming up. They've played a lot of killers, so it feels like their stats are a little looking a little too negative, I think, compared to where they actually are. So I expect this to be a close game. Probably goes 3. Coin flip between like who gets the third game, probably. But we'll take the underdog shot. I like Team WE's chances. I think they'll probably be like a fairly popular underdog, but that's fine. I'll be on that side, and I think maybe we can get different in some other ways. The second one, Weibo OMG. This one again feels pretty winnable for OMG. If I'm honest, I know I've been kind of riding the Weibo side. That's one of the examples of like I was pretty heavily against Weibo for like most of the year, but they've actually it's just gone to a point where you can't deny how good and how great they've been playing and how great their look and all those things with Weibo. I mean, they've beaten a lot of other elite teams now. They have the EDG series win, LNG series win. Who else was it? V5 series win. The only series that they've lost is to BLG. So they've beaten a lot of other killer teams, and we know OMG definitely are not on that level. It's hard to find anything other anything other than Weibo against OMG here. There is just like a part of me where these teams aren't that far apart. Like I feel like I rate OMG like a good bit higher. Although Weibo are looking like a top 2 team, it's between Weibo and V5 probably at the moment. I just feel like if Weibo's like the second best team and OMG is like the 7th or 8th best team, like there's not that much of a gap there. That's just kind of where I'm at. I'm a little hesitant on it. But it's hard to find anything other than like a Weibo 2-0 here. Again, I think these odds are a little wide. I feel like Weibo's should be like a minus 330, 300, something like that. But it's still just not enough for me to get on the OMG side. I feel like the sentiment is still the same there with, you got to think Weibo probably get the 2-0. But again, LPL has been super random. A lot of crazy things have happened. If you're a big multi-enterer, I don't think getting on OMG is crazy here at all. We've seen some Weibo downside. Like we've seen the Shy show glimpses of his old self where he was like 0.63 or something on Scion a couple of days ago. So we know that that potential is there. I just haven't. There just hasn't been much of a logical reasoning to see OMG win here, other than it's the LPL and things that just seem super random at the moment. Third series here, Top Esports EDG. This is actually like this should be like a pretty close game. I don't know. I'm still just not buying into Top Esports at all. So the thing here is they're like comeback, if you want to say it like that. They have wins over Thundertalk, which Thundertalk looking like just so bad. They looked really, really bad in that series. Like Thundertalk handed them that series. There's not much to it. They got the win over JDG. I am still pretty high on JDG overall, but we've seen JDG also look not great in the same vein. So I don't know how much stock you want to put into this. These still seem like kind of middling teams. Same thing with FPX. Like this FPX series was only like 5 days ago, and FPX looked really bad in that time span. So I just feel like although they're getting back in like the W column, I still just feel like they're not that good. Kind of like regardless of these results. I know EDG is like a minus 220 favorite, so it's not going to be like a hot take here to say that I think EDG should get the job done and win pretty handedly. But I just kind of don't get this price. I feel like EDG is a significantly better team here. And I feel like we're kind of trending back towards the beginning of the year when people were giving TES a lot of credit just based off like name recognition. Now it's people giving TES recognition based on them like winning, but these are like pretty lowly wins. I don't know, if I'm honest. Like again, I don't think JDG and FPX are that bad, but these are both very winnable series for JDG and FPX, and I just don't think JDG and FPX are like that good. If we're to look at things in like the context of the league. So we have the elite teams up here, probably cut off after 5 or 6. I don't know if you want to argue BLG is in the top elite or not. That's kind of beside the point. Then we have the bottom level teams here. I would definitely argue TT, WE, LGD, AL, Ultra Prime are down there. Looks like IG are kind of climbing out of that pit. But you could even argue with how bad FPX have looked that FPX might be in the bottom tier, the bottom pit of the LPL. Maybe FPX is just at the bottom of the middle tier. That's also, kind of understandable either way that way. But I think the point is that Top Esports, JDG, and FPX are all kind of like middling teams. And I would say more so like, I don't know, it's tough. Like all this middle just feels pretty condensed, like JDG top. I would have OMG here, maybe FPX, BLG maybe at the top of it, depending on who you ask. The main point is like I'd argue that EDG are probably like the third best team in the league. It's hard to argue that because I think they've lost to V5 and Weibo now. So EDG is probably number 3. Then it's like at best. Top Esports are 7th. I'd argue that like even then are they there? Like it feels like they're just kind of like in like a middling tier team here, and EDG are still like an elite top team. So I just feel like these odds are like a little weird to me. I'm kind of surprised that Top Esports are getting that much love. Again, I would feel like this is like a EDG minus 280, something like that. Something probably a little bit more one-sided towards the EDG side. Again, not a hot take. Just picking a big favorite here, but I'm not sure. I feel like the books are kind of disrespecting EDG a little at the moment. I'm not sure why. Maybe it is just like they do have 2 series losses. They are sweeps to Weibo and V5. Those are like fine. The difference between a sweep and like losing in 3 isn't that crazy. I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of talking in circles here, but I don't know. I just don't really see how Top Esports can get this job done. Like, yeah, Top Esports have been winning. They've been kind of screwing me over because I've been against them every time. Maybe that's like a continuing theme. That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with how I rode against Top Esports for a while, and that was like weird. Um, and it had been working out, so I don't know. It's like, are we really gonna say like Top Esports are looking really bad, and then they're back because they've barely beaten FPX and JDG, and they have like a 2-0 over Thunder Talk? It's like, are we just gonna declare them back? Probably not. I don't think so. They have been looking better when they bring in like Wayward and Mark. It seems like Mark does, kind of lead them and have more of a voice and put things structured for them. It just feels like they're in like way over their heads here against EDG. Especially bottom lane. I feel like Jackie Love is going to get absolutely destroyed by Viper and Mako. It just feels like this is going to be like a wake up call here for the Top Esports team, and I feel like EDG are going to kind of blow the windows off them, and I like them a good bit. So yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the slate as a whole, there's not a lot to love from an underdog spot. I do have like a weird feeling here with Weibo OMG, but not enough to like pull the trigger on anything, just because there hasn't been a lot, I think, from the OMG side to like praise necessarily. If we were to look at OMG, like they lost to Ultra Prime, pretty sad. They have like a win over WE. Like they're looking just like a decent gatekeeper. That's kind of been it though. I think they do have a lot of like low level games coming up. They have RA, FPX, RNG, LNG. So I don't know. They have a decent schedule coming up for the OMG side, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it or like why. I don't know. It just feels like there's still like a factor where Weibo make mistakes, and I think OMG are good enough to capitalize on them. It just kind of comes down to consistency and stuff. So the price seems weird, but not enough to like get away from it. There's just no like logical reason really in that one. So yeah, 5 gamer, probably just Xing out KT bro. So 4 gamer for me. I feel like T1 again having a lot of good games, a lot of great scoring kill games. If we look at like Gumayushi, that he's been putting up hundreds like as of recently. He's had really good performances. Carrier as well. Carrier had a 90 and an 80. Like they're just doing really really good T1. They've had some crazy kill games. Faker hasn't been scoring that well, but I think Warner and Zayas, I believe, is how he wants his name pronounced now. Yeah, looking pretty good there. I'll take the underdog shot on Team WE. Again, I feel like this is one where you just kind of like look at the grand scheme of things within the league. I kind of talked about how Team WE have played against like a murderer's row of opposition. So it feels like their stats are a little poor overall. So I'll just I'll buy in early when it looks like they have a winnable schedule coming up, and that's just kind of where I'm at with that one. And then again, I just kind of talked over EDG TES, where I feel like EDG should get the job done. So just the one underdog tonight. I'm not sure if I want to be like triple invested in Team WE. That's like the only problem that I'm having is when I'm thinking about how I want to build lineups tonight. It's like, do I even want multiple lineups? And then if I do, the only underdog I like is Team WE. So am I gonna have Team WE in every lineup? I don't know. It might just be something where I'll have to think about roster construction and stuff a little bit later in the day. But it's like I don't want to build like double favor lineups. Those always just feel really bad. So I'm not sure. We'll have to look at that, but we can look at like teams and players here. So again, as of recently, I want to get like a somewhat recent but not too small of a sample. I'm just going to set mine to just this month of February. So that's pretty much just they're playing on just this patch, I believe, in the LPL. LCK is swapping to the new patch 12.3. But that's like post break, newest patch. It seems like a really solid sample size. So we can set the teams to T1. They're going against Hanwha, right? Yep. As you can see, T1 are actually picking up the pace a good bit. It's a little worrisome that Hanwha don't have good stats. Looks like in losses they're doing a little worse, so that's not ideal. Ideally, I like to have the team that loses, that I expect to lose, have a high combined kills per minute. I just feel like having more deaths in a loss matters more than kills in a win. If that makes sense, then we can head over to the LPL. We have TES, it's Team WE, Top Esports. They're playing against EDG, Ultra Prime, Weibo, and OMG. So that's all 6. Again, set it just to February. Looks like OMG, Ultra Prime, and Team WE are at the top, so it's looking like the Ultra Prime Team WE matchup is the one you're going to want to be probably a little bit heavier on. But again, all these games are looking relatively close. They're looking condensed, only about like 0.09 between top and bottom, so they're all looking fine. But again, Ultra Prime are looking pretty live, or sorry, Team WE I think are looking pretty live here overall. The OMG series, OMG Weibo, it's good for, like I said earlier, where the team that I like to lose, which is OMG, has a good kills per minute. That sets up pretty well for Weibo. So if we're to look at losses, who's fighting him a lot, looks like OMG is up there a lot in losses. Same with Ultra Prime is up there a lot in losses. Looks like Top Esports aren't dying that much in losses, so maybe that's something where you want to stay away from. Who's getting the most done in wins? Team WE is doing a lot, so things are looking pretty good for Team WE here. I don't know, just based off of that's kind of just what I'm looking at. So, yeah, we're liking Team WE, I think, a good bit. Again, kind of just have to stick with Weibo, EDG, and I think T1 will probably keep in the mix as well. So we'll probably keep those as our teams as we put them into the player checker. Whoops. It was T1, EDG, Weibo Gaming, and Team WE. So that gives us all 4 teams. Yep, just want to make sure that everything's there. Just immediately sort by co-participation, as we could see. And these all these teams having red other than EDG is a little confusing. But we have Stay. I don't believe Stay is going to be playing. Maybe the lineups are out now that I've been talking for so long. Yep, we actually do have lineups and updates. So this is actually a lot of stuff here, as you guys could see. Team WE, they're bringing in Xie instead of Shanks. I'm not sure where to stand on that. I feel like Xie, he's like a historically really good mid laner, but Shanks I was actually kind of impressed with individually, so I don't know what to make of that necessarily. And then for Ultra Prime, they're swapping top laners. They're subbing out ZS and putting in Elias. I don't remember how to say his name. So that's something we're gonna have to talk about quickly. Is Elias? He played for, I want to say, like BLG or somebody. No, he's been a V5 top laner, and this is when they were really bad. So as you guys could see, this is the like 0. Oh, sorry, my phone's going off there. This is the like 0-18 or whatever. This is the never won. This is the they didn't win at all. V5, as you guys could see in the LPL 21-21 summer, they had 1 map, so it's not looking good for them. I guess overall, looking at those changes when they get GA in instead of Shanks, and they bring allies in instead of ZS, you probably have to probably give another notch towards the Team WE side. I feel like at worst, this is like a lateral transition of going from Shanks to GA. Maybe Shie is a little bit better. I feel like the upside is more there with Team WE and Shie. Like a Team WE legend as well, I should add. And I just feel like there hasn't been much to say for the Ultra Prime side. There's not a lot positive there. And over in the other series, we have Xiaoshang replacing Flandre. Again, I'm not sure why they're like swapping top laners here. I'm not sure what purpose this is. I thought that it was just like Flandre was ill, so they were bringing in Xiaoshang for a couple of games or something. So now that they're like doing it more over a period of time, it's a little like worrisome. Again, oh, my apologies. I don't think this changes much. I don't think Xiaoshang has played at all, has he? Yeah, Xiaoshang hasn't played at all for a while. So that's a little like weird. I don't think that's necessarily like a concern, but I'm not sure why they're bringing in Xiaoshang over Flandre. I don't think this really changes much for this EDG series. I still feel like they're significantly better, especially like everywhere else. Again, I think the huge thing here is just going to be Viper and Mako. Well, it looks like yeah, everything. I guess everything else is normal. No changes here. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. We'll might have to like look out and find some stuff for that. I'm not sure what would implore them to bring in Shie or allies here on in this series. Everything's the same there. So yeah, I'm not sure why like Xiaoshang is in, but again, don't think that changes much. It's not like Wayward is necessarily a threat on the other side. Yeah, I feel like it's still fine for EDG. Maybe a slight little even extra boost to Team WE here. So I assume that both of those players are going to be priced as pretty cheap. Yeah, Xiaoshang 58. That's pretty cheap. For Team WE, just make sure. Yeah, she is in the player pool. He's super cheap as well. I'm not sure how that's going to affect odds because it's like a swap on both sides. So I'd imagine it kind of just stays the same. There's something to be said with WE Shie. Like Shie is he's like a legend, you know. Like he's a long-term player. He's been playing in the LPL for a long time. So I'm not sure what he's going to bring necessarily. If that's like an improvement or not. As you guys can see, he started with Team WE in 2015. Played for 4 years and 10 months, so 5 years Team WE resident. Went and played a split for Dominus. I believe this is like this turned into previously known as Sino Dragons. That would make them... I'm not sure. Who did Sino Dragon turn into? Is that Thunder Talk? Yeah, so Thunder Talk. Okay. Then he played a split with LGD, a split with JDG. Obviously, I don't think he played much there. Split with LGD again. So he's been kind of around the world, but again, 5 years with Team WE. Then he makes his return here. I'd imagine this will be pretty hype. A lot of people will be excited for this. This is like... obviously not to the same extent, but this is a lot like if Uzi returning to BLG. This was like if Uzi would return to RNG, then maybe the people would be hyped. But I'd imagine there's gonna be a lot of excitement for Team WE Shie. You'd have to imagine it's an improvement. Again, I feel like at worst it's like a lateral movement. We go from Shanks to Shie. It's just kind of not that much, but I feel like the upside there is a lot more with Shie. So that's just gonna make me feel a little bit more confident in Team WE. Especially Shie is gonna be super cheap. I don't know if you want to play Xiaoshang. I wouldn't have loved this necessarily earlier, but maybe Xiaosheng is a little cheaper. He might enable a different type of build. Um, that's another thing that I love to do in these games is I like to make lineups that only work if the underdog is there. So let's just try something like a random, like if we did Scout, Xiaosheng, Viper, Mako, and then we did like Weibo, SOFM, Angel. So right off the bat, this is already a like unique lineup where had we four stacked EDG, we would not have been able to get Flandre, but we can put in Xiaosheng. So this already is like an instant unique style of lineup. I'm actually super surprised that you can double mid laner favorites like this. That's weird. Maybe it's enabled because of like somebody like Xiaosheng. So I like that style of lineup. I don't know if you can figure out other ways to make it work, but when you get underdogs like that, or when you get replacements like that, and you can make lineups like that, people don't tend to build like that. Like people will try to go like different routes because they won't get word until maybe a little bit later that other players are starting. So I don't know. I feel like I've been ranting for like an hour, so you guys probably want to wrap this up already. But bring up the stats here. I don't know how much these matter, especially now with so many things changing. Probably easier to go position by position as well again today because we have so many teams. Looking like kill participation really heavily, looking good for Team WE. The Shy is also looking pretty good, but we've seen him more on like the Scion, so his kill participation is getting low. Right here, his kill share is getting low. I mean, Flandre and Zeus, they're not looking great. Or Zeus. I don't know how much Xiaosheng changes that. We'll look at what champions he's been playing, or he played for them. We'll look at Xiaosheng match history. So he was on Ornn and Gwen 3 times. That's interesting. Let's look real quick at what Xiaosheng's stuff was. Let's see if they want to sub him in to make him play a little bit better. These are actually decent numbers for like a sub top laner. Xiaosheng, 56% kill participation. That would put him in like a close third. 26% kill share. That would put him above everyone. So Xiaosheng definitely a viable option here in the top lane, especially like I said, he's super cheap, 5,800 there. Definitely liking that, but it looks like for raw stats, if the Team WE win, he's going to be, scoring pretty well there, it looks like. For jungle, looks like Beishong and JJ both separating themselves, although Wonner's doing fine. I'm pretty surprised with SOFM stats being this low, but I guess it kind of makes sense with so many mouths to feed on Weibo. So it looks like everyone except for maybe SOFM is somebody fine for jungle. I'd look to maybe, if you're like making Weibo your secondary stack, I probably would try to avoid SOFM just because his stats are looking pretty bad. That's kind of like the only thing there. For top lane, you'd like to prioritize somebody like Biu. Although I think the Shy and Xiaosheng are probably fine as well. Maybe Zeus, but Zeus has a really low kill participation, really low kill share. Can't imagine Zeus would be scoring that much. So I would say probably everyone except for Zeus for top lane, everyone except for SOFN for jungle. Looking at mid, again, probably everyone but Faker. He has the lowest kill share, lowest kill participation by a good margin over everyone else. I'd imagine for Shanks, you would probably have this pretty similar stats when you just like transfer it over to Xie. Again, I think Xie is probably an improvement over Shanks as an individual player. I'm not sure what playstyle necessarily they'll work with. If memory serves, I think Xie was like a relatively balanced player. I think he could kind of play everything. I'd imagine he would probably have a similar champion pool to kind of what's popular now, like Twisted Fate, Rise. I don't know if Xie would be playing the LeBlanc. I'm not sure. I don't remember what Xie's champion pool is like. We can take a quick look because this video is already like 35 hours long. So, looks like he was playing a lot of like melee things like Silas. this Twisted Fate. He was getting the LeBlanc. Let's look at like champion stat. Looks like he was getting a lot of Silas, some Viego when he was played mid. Yeah, I mean, this is all just kind of like normal stuff. Looks like he didn't love the Rise. It's hard to like analyze things from like last year, just because things change so frequently and with how balance is being updated. So I don't know. I guess I'll whatever. I'll just say it now. One thing to look out for is how maybe odds will be changing over time. Like as of now, I'm mostly recording this at 9 a.m. Mountain time. So that's 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. So I'm not sure how odds are going to shake out by the time maybe you guys are watching this in the evening or something. But again, as of right now, Ultra Prime is a minus 185. I think if anything, the odds are maybe going to drift towards the Team WE side. So if this does become like a pick'em by the time you guys like are getting closer to lock or something, I think it's definitely an option to go on the Ultra Prime side as like leverage. Because I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of other people who are like me, and probably the only underdog they're liking is Team WE. So if the odds are getting a lot closer, and this is like Ultra Prime minus 130 and Team W is like plus 100 for example, then I would say maybe you'd go for the Ultra Prime side just because they're going to be kind of the favorite that is squeezed out of everyone. As you guys can see, Elk is the most expensive AD. I'd imagine people are going to want to get to like Viper, Huanfeng, Gumayushi even. So I'd imagine not many people are going to want to get to the sorry, what was I just saying? People are not going to want to get to the Ultra Prime favorites, especially if they're not that much of a favorite. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, we just went through mids. It seems like everyone but Faker. Again, I think doesn't really matter the nameplate here. I feel like Team WE's mid laners are going to be pretty good, pretty poppin'. Looks like for ADs, obviously Gumayushi is just going to be off the charts. He just seems to be just kind of like in another realm at the moment. They're playing super, super great. T1R overall. I feel like they're maybe still a little overrated, but I don't think you can deny how good Gumayushi's been playing. Again, everyone's looking pretty decent. Huanfeng's a little low, but I still don't think you want to necessarily avoid Huanfeng. Feels like if they win, he's going to be like a good part of it. Weibo just seemed to be kind of like all over the place. That's like the only problem is sometimes it feels like they're playing through top, through mid, through jungle. Like if you could apply Weibo's team style to RNG, they would be the best team in the world by far. But obviously not how that works. And we have Weibo performing really well. It seems like they have a solid triple-headed monster. I feel like they kind of leave mid a lot. So it'll be Angel versus Cream just kind of dueling it out there. Again, looking decent kind of across the board. Gumayushi definitely stands out above everyone, although, again, I think if you're doing stacks, Xing, Viper, Huanfeng, they're all fine. For supports, it's looking like you don't want to play on. Carrier is above everyone else, but he's super expensive. 6,400 for a support is crazy. Kadaya, Mako. So it seems like everyone but on. Not looking great for the Weibo bottom lane as a whole. Yeah, that gives us a good idea. So it's looking like T1 playthrough bottom pretty heavily. Team WE are there as well. EDG there as well. It's looking like the Weibo bottom lane is a little bit abandoned. For mid, I'd imagine that'd probably be Shie, but anyone but Faker seems fine. Anyone but SOFM seems fine. So I think realistically for Weibo, you're probably only looking at like top and mid. Although I still think like stacking them is obviously fine. But I think when you're just looking at things like when you're looking at the stats like that, that's probably how I'm looking at it. So I don't know. I've wasted way too long talking about random stuff today, so I apologize for kind of being all over the place. I don't know. Sometimes I just get ideas and want to talk about them out loud and ramble way too much, but Yeah, a quick recap for everyone because I know you're probably just as confused as I am at the moment. But LCK, I feel like KT Bro, I'm not sure. Probably just like KT 2-1, but I don't love it from betting or DFS at all. Probably just exit that one out. Hanwha Life T1, I feel like this is pretty good for the T1 side. They've been performing really well. They have a lot of really good performances lately. They seem to be upping the tempo to an extreme level. They have a lot of 20, 25 kill wins, and Hanwha seem to be looking really, really lost after their like coaching and AD carry Sam D left for COVID. So I'd imagine this will be super, super heavily favored in T1. They seem to be like a good place for the sweet bonus. Again, not sure. You're not getting much of a discount anywhere on the T1 players. Like Keria is expensive, Gumayushi is expensive, Faker's affordable, but Wonder's expensive. Zeus is way overpriced. So yeah, that's probably it. You're not getting much of a discount anywhere, but I still think T1 are definitely live, especially with like stacking and stuff. I'm not sure how you guys want to go about that one, but I like them a good bit. Team WE, I'll take Team WE over Ultra Prime, probably 2-1, but although I just think it'll probably go 3 and be close either way. So I'll just go Team WE 2-0 or 2-1, sorry. Again, I'm pretty excited to see Shie come back. Again, like a legend of the LPL, a legend of Team WE. I'll be interested to see how much he gets hyped up and stuff. That might change my opinion. I'll tweet about it if I switch sides, but I don't imagine I will. I think this is a situation where even if the odds change and you see WE getting up there in price and stuff, I feel like this is one where you just kind of take your lumps there and just take the super cheap Team WE players. Again, it feels like kind of Team WE had a lot of really good like kill share scores here. I need to stop closing these tabs before I'm done using them. But as you guys can see, if we have like T1, Team WE, EDG, Weibo Gaming. Wow, what did I do wrong? I'm not sure what I just did. Okay, that was odd, but again, like feels like Team WE overall, they have like, as you guys can see, they have really high overall kill participation as a team. So they seem to be grouping up and getting a lot of fights down together. You could even Shing is like their lowest kill participation at 67%. I guess BBU's down here. Sorry, I didn't see that, but he's still doing really good for top. And liking a lot Team WE here. Again, EDG looking decent. We have Keria, Wonder, Gumayushi doing well. Looks like they're leaving the mid and top alone. So. Like in those spots, like WE take the upset, even if the odds drift in a weird way. I just feel like you kind of have to take Team WE just because they are so cheap, and I think they're in a pretty good spot here. Weibo OMG, probably just go with the Weibo 2-0. They've beaten a lot of other elite teams, so it's hard to imagine them losing to Team WE, but LPL is so random and weird at the moment. This wouldn't even shock me. I just have like a weird feeling here. I don't know. The TES EDG, kind of ranted a lot about this one earlier. I feel like EDG is a significantly better team here. I'm kind of surprised that these odds are so close, but I'd imagine you're not going to get like an ownership discount or anything with EDG. Everyone's probably just going to be on them as normal. I think they should probably get the job done 2-0. Maybe it's closer than I envisioned, but I don't know. It's hard for me to see anything other than like an EDG 2-0, maybe a 2-1. But I just feel like they're the better team, and despite Xiaosheng playing, I don't see that as like that big of a deal. Maybe odds will change because of that. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait on that and see. But I'm still like EDG a good bit, and I don't know. That'll be where I'm at tonight. I liking these 4 teams specifically. Um, I'm not sure how construction will be. Again, looks like there's some weird things possible. It seems like EDG are pretty cheap, so I don't know. We'll look and see. I'll have to build everything later. Have my ankle appointment later today. I get my stitches taken out, so that'll be exciting. But again, I mean, for at least tonight, when you look at it, I'm probably going to be super heavy on WE. I'm probably going to end up having to pair WE with like all of my other favorites and going from there. So I'll probably just be super heavily overexposed to Team WE. And then Team WE, they play first at midnight my time. So if Team WE lose, I'll be in bed. I just know that much. So again, sorry for talking for so long, ranting all across the board. I've considered just like stopping this recording and re-recording, making it better, but I don't know. I still think you guys can cipher through all the random nonsense that I'm talking about. So yeah, that'll be it for me today. Again, probably a good video or a good slate coming up tomorrow. I'm not sure the games, but I think there's still another decent slate coming up. So yeah, we have another LPL 3 gamer at least, so that one's looking exciting. TT FPX, BLG JDG, LNG V5, these all seem like super close series, so I'm looking forward to kind of talking that one and breaking that down tomorrow. But got to get through tonight first. Team WE, hopefully they come through for us. I'm leaning to them pretty heavily. I like that spot for them. So yeah, that'll be for me tonight. Hopefully we can kind of turn our fortune around and get some things going our way. And yeah, I mean, that's probably it. Best of luck to you guys all tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow.